the key moment probably that sort of shaped, to use your
nice
yeah,
work,
nice,
yeah.
yeah, to show was probably getting arrested.
Dane Swan, welcome to Shaped.
Shaped.
I don't know how much you know about the show, but it is centred around the moments and experiences throughout your life, not just your footy career, that have kind of shaped who you are today.
Well, I thought you were talking about my shape. So I got a lot of feedback about my shape when I was playing. So got called fat quite a few times.
Fat shamed a bit?
Yeah. So I thought of shape I thought you were talking about. But
How are you at the moment? In good shape?
I'm a lot lighter than what I was. I played at about 96 kilos. I'm about 90 now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
96 kilos.
So I played at, probably in the last 5 or 6 years.
You're a machine from a running point of view, though. Or just picked and choose the right moments
well,
to
I picked
run?
it. I run smarter, not harder, as they say. But my strength was my anaerobic capacity and my 2K stuff and the longer distance ones. I got bored, and mentally I wasn't great at it. But that wasn't my strength. Like Pendles and Steele and stuff from my side could run all day at the same pace. Your Robert Harveys, those kind of guys. That wasn't me. I had to sort of break people by going on and off, and that's why I was the most rotated player in the league for 3 years. So I literally was the most rotated player. So I basically ruined football.
Yeah.
So because
they had to bring in a rotation cap because of you.
Oh, basically, and they thought, well, the aesthetics of, I don't know why, but they didn't like the aesthetics of people running off the ground. So, and basically we started that, and I was the most rotated. So, I apologise for ruining AFL back in the mid-2000s.
We'll get to your career achievements because it's a fair rap sheet, and I don't think I've listed every one of them, but
I'll remind you if there's a couple.
There's a lot of them. Do you think the rotations was comparable to being the number one disposal player in the competition? I think it was for 4 years. Yeah. Maybe even more. You'll know.
Yeah, I think so. I think it certainly helped my game. Yeah. And they tailored it. They tailored Mick. Went and watched the ice hockey one pre-season. And obviously ice hockey, they have 3 20-minute periods, and the best players play 20 minutes. Yeah. They're on and off for 2 minutes. So Mick thought that would be a good way for us to play, and obviously knew my strengths. And going into pre-season, Mick was like, right, we want you to come on and off the ground. And as a player back then, it wasn't really in vogue. And, whether midfielders want to talk about it or not, you're like, fuck, what do I want to come off the ground? I'm going to go from 30 to 25. There goes chances of being All-Australian, best and fairest, Brownlows, and then you get more, not so much into the award, not so much of winning those awards, more about the bonuses that come with them. So you're worried about them, and you're like, Mick, fuck no, mate, I'll go forward. I'll stay on the ground. But then you test it in pre-season. You see early in the year that, it benefits the whole side, and you're running not as strongly late in the game, but you're still running with a fair bit of speed and power in the latter parts of this game than if you're on the ground the whole time. So, yeah, it definitely correlated with my form being whatever you think it was. So I definitely believe that and it works for many factors as a good way to break a tag, because I was getting tagged, most weeks, and you go off the ground, the tag has to go, right, what do I do? Do I stay on? And guys like, all the Kane Corns and stuff would stay on the ground because they were so aerobically fit, and, they'd go forward, back or somewhere. So then you'd come on, you'd have a couple of minutes. If then they'd go off, so you'd have a couple of minutes to yourself. So you'd run around, I'm going to do as many cheap ones as I can here. So, and then the guys who were super aerobically fit, by the end of the game, if they've stayed on all the time, I found it a bit easier to scoot away from them. Yeah,
more speed.
Yeah, so that was my strength. So, it definitely played a huge role in me becoming whatever player you thought I was.
You're pretty exceptional.
I was okay. Yeah, I was okay. I could get it. I just couldn't do a lot with it. That's why I had to get it a lot.
Well, let's go back to growing up. West Meadows.
Yep.
Mum, Deirdre.
Yep.
Dad, Bill.
Yep.
Bill was a pretty handy player himself. Won the JJ.
Yeah, he won 2 and won 1 on countback. So he won the Lister medal, which is the equivalent of the Brownlow in the AFL. And this was back in the days where the VFA, some could argue was just as strong as the VFL back then, because it was on Sundays, and, it was a very, very good league. It was pretty tough back then in the 70s and 80s when my old man was playing at Port Melbourne and Williamstown. So he was great. He was down at Carlton in the under-19s.
Yep.
And he said, this is the greatest mistake he's ever made in his AFL or his VFL footballing career. He was down in the Carlton in the under-19s, and he thought he should have been getting a game, and they were playing all the kids from the country and that coming down, and they were playing them in the seniors. And my dad had enough of it and walked in and told the coach to get fucked and left, and then went to Port Melbourne. And he said it's his biggest regret because obviously that was his last chance of playing VFL. But I think it's the greatest decision he's ever made, because if he goes to Carlton,
it means you would have been
going father son to Carlton, and we certainly didn't want that. So I wasn't even a twinkle in his eye then, but he was foreshadowing that he'd have a son who wouldn't be bad at footy, and managed to get my way to Collingwood, which was unbelievable for me.
Yeah, and your sister Bonnie,
is
she older or younger?
She's 2 years younger. No sporting ability. No.
You took it all?
Yeah, I guess I took it all. I probably got the best of both. I got the social side from my mother and the sporting ability from my dad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Thank goodness it wasn't the other way around.
Sporting from mum and social from dad.
Yeah.
So you would have been no good at...
I'll be no good at anything. Yeah.
That's pretty rough on...
Dad's not a big partier. Yeah. My mum was that. So I got that from my mum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get to partying and the life you've lived to date, because clearly it's probably very different from the perspective I've lived my life.
Well, now we're catching. Now I've got 3 kids, so now I'm settled a bit. Yeah.
Well, we'll touch on the family as well. But you went to St. Bernard's.
Yep.
Was that for the whole of high school, or?
I managed to sneak it. I managed to finish it to the end. Yeah. Thank goodness I did get drafted, so I ended up not going to 2 exams.
Yeah.
I'd had enough by then. I had 2 more exams to go, this is it for me. So, I was okay at school. Just in the middle.
Yep.
I think my enter score back then, I don't know what it's called now. I think I got 50, so I was in the middle somewhere. But I didn't really, like most, people who sort of like me, the teacher would go, listen, if he applied himself, he's all right, but he gets a bit sidetracked and likes to take the piss with his mates and have a bit of fun. I'm not sure if you know this, if you've got this in your notes, but what the guidance counsellor said I should be. Did you say that? So
what did they say?
I said I should be a mortician.
I don't even know what a mortician is. What's a
funeral parlour? Works in funerals. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, works with dead people.
Had you done a personality or a psych profile for that? Or?
No, I don't think it was that complicated back then. I'm not a real big fan of dead people, but necrophilia is not something that I'm a fan of. But
interesting.
So I think maybe because of I didn't have much emotion. I don't know. I'd have to ask her. Yeah. But so that was the path she thought I should go down.
Yeah.
And thankfully I didn't listen to her. But school was all right. I could bullshit my way through it. So English and stuff I was good at because I could bullshit my way through a story and things like that. Math, I don't even know why we need to do math anymore. We've got calculators on our phones to worry about that kind of stuff now. So
that's a good point.
But yeah, school was all right. It wasn't huge for me. I didn't play much school footy because we used to play ACC on Wednesdays, and if you didn't play sport, you got to go home. So I just preferred to go home. But I ended up playing my last year of school footy. But school was obviously it's something that you have to do.
Yep.
But thankfully I got drafted because I got no other skills. I wasn't real keen on furthering my studies.
Yeah.
And I'm shit ass with my hands. So my dad was a wharfie, so I was probably doing something there. And, I wasn't great. I'm still not great with my hands. My partner does everything around the house if it needs to be done.
Or you call someone.
Yeah, or I'll call dad. Yeah. So I'm hopeless at everything else. I'm just very, very lucky that I managed to sneak out a career.
You obviously had an illustrious career. Was there any defining moments? I know that you touched on Mick Moldhouse, and he was a big part of you going from just an AFL player to a star.
Yeah.
Was he one of the key people in your corner?
Yeah, absolutely. The key moment probably that sort of shaped, to use your
nice
to shape. It was probably getting arrested. That was probably the thing.
Was it 02, 03?
So I got drafted at the end of 01. So it was the last day of pre-season training before Christmas in 02. So I'd been there 1 season, yeah. So then reasonably well, I got into the blue and got told I was going to be sacked. And, mate, I was a shithead. I didn't deserve to be on a list. My dad said I probably got drafted too young. I got drafted as a 17-year-old. And he's probably right. Moved straight out home, moved in with my best mate. my first contract was 36,000. I spent it in the first week because we got paid monthly. Spent it like it was $2 million. I'd put in no effort in football. The only effort I was putting in was on the weekends at night, like nightclubs. So I was doing my best there, and then obviously got in this blue and got told I was going to be sacked. Now, you don't know what you've got till you don't know what you've got till it's gone. It's pretty cliche, but the next day or two, I was like, well, fuck, that's. I hadn't put any effort in. Like, God knows what I'm going to do now. So that's a waste, and a little upset. But walked into the footy club with Brownlow and my manager, and they basically, they all told me what they thought of me, and there wasn't too many positive connotations coming back my way. Then it just got to Mick. I'm sure they set it up, and they said, "Mate, we're not going to ruin your career on one stuff up. Now, prove to me that you belong here, and prove to me that why I should keep you and start repaying some of the faith that I'm showing in you." Now, I'd given no one any indication that I'd be good at anything, let alone football. Like my first game, I started, so Williamstown were Collingwood's reserves. I started in Williamstown's reserves, and I started on the bench because I was late to the game. So that was my first go at AFL level. And, I played at Geelong, not even on Geelong's ground, on the oval next to it on the highway.
So we've both played twos. I know what that's like.
Yeah, exactly. So my first couple of games I played in the twos. And I was, like I said, I'd given Mick no indication I'd be good at anything, let alone football. So I was like, righto. I wouldn't say I got put on the right path. I'd say I was on a righter path than what I was going down. Now, Mick was obviously massive in that. And now the two guys who I have no doubt I certainly wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about my career if these two hadn't helped me was Ben Johnson and Chris Tarrant. And they're obviously pretty popular members of the Rat Pack, and, they had their moments, let me tell you. But because those two cared about me and were good mates, they actually wanted me to work hard and try. Now, I actually listened to them, and the shit mentality that I had, like Bucks, Burnsy, Jimmy Clement, Tarkin, Anthony Rockoff, all these sort of senior leader guys were telling me, mate, you need to work harder. The mentality I had was like, fuck, I feel you to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
The captain of the club, vice captain of the club, the leaders, the best players of the club. But I'm like, mate, I don't care about you, because I just had a horrible mentality. Like, why do I care what you have to say about me? No. But then because Chris and Ben were like, I was getting close with them, I was like, I don't want to let them down. Like, I didn't care for letting anyone else down, but I was like, right, I don't want to let you two down, so I'll do what you tell me. Jono, for all, he is what anyone involved in the footy club in that era would tell you, Jono was one of the hardest trainers on the track. Wasn't great in the weight room, but on the track, worked his ass off. So pre-season, he ran with me, or he'd obviously go a lot harder than me. Then he'd come back and force me to run with him, and I'd be down the bottom. And, thankfully it was 2002-03, because what he did to me, he wouldn't be able to get away with it these days with how the world's changed. So they physically and mentally abused me, and would just tell me what I needed to hear. And so slowly but surely I figured out what was needed. Now this was 02. I didn't get going until 07, so it took 5 years. Yeah. But he showed me the work ethic that was needed on the track. And like I said, he wasn't great in the weight room, and I'm not sure if you know what Chris Tarrant looks like, but exactly. The Tarrants are genetically blessed, but he was obviously an extremely hard worker on and off the track. So when everyone else was, sitting in the spa telling stories or getting a massage or eating lunch or on their way home, I was stuck with Chris doing weights. So that preseason was horrific. Yeah. I'd never experienced such pain in my body before, but it was what you needed to do to play at AFL level. And like I said, this was going into the 03 preseason season, so I played 3 games that year. So it wasn't like I just magically became the player I was. So I played 3, then 13, then 16, then I played basically most of them, I think.
Obviously you go on that journey and it teaches you a lot about what's required to get to the top. But you do only play 3 games. Was there times where you were like, fuck, what if I even put myself through this
a little
for
bit.
Not much of a reward? Or was it kind of just like, I know that this is part of the process?
No, young footballers going on a list are pretty selfish. So I was in and out for an injury, coming out. My first game in 03, I sat 20 minutes on the bench, and I'd come on for 8 minutes of the last quarter, because that's what you did. If you started on the bench, you sat there, I'd come on for Bucks for 6 minutes or something like that, then I'd sit on the bench again. I think I had 8 touches in the 25 minutes I played or something like that in my first game against the Dogs. So you sit up there, you hope the boys win in the stand, but you hope the player that plays in your position gets reported or doesn't get a kick. Because you want to play C, like, fuck, I hope he's going. He hasn't had a kick yet. He's had 5 kicked on him. Beautiful. So you expect to play it next week. But I didn't. But you don't know any different. I was just happy to be on the list.
Yeah.
Like making me $36,000 a year. Never had a proper job before. So I was like, this is heaven. Moved out with me mates. So, and I still probably wasn't super motivated or, I certainly wasn't professional, but football wasn't the be all and end for me. So I wasn't like, see, they go, right, I'm going to have to work extra hard on Monday because he's had a bad week. I just play in the twos and do what I had to do and then enjoy myself on the weekends. And if a game came my way, it did. But yeah, that 03 season was basically someone get hurt in, then straight back out. I got dropped 3 times.
Yeah. Was there any stage during your career where that kind of laid back character wasn't there with regards to your preparation and your discipline and so forth, or was it just something that you found you had a niche, it worked for you performed on weekends?
Yeah, no is the answer. I was always pretty relaxed and it was always just the way I was. Game day was the one thing I loved, but I was always pretty relaxed. And for me, once I started to realise, takes us all a few years to figure out. Well, it helps us become good footy in our week to week, what we need to do. And, if I try to go into a game super angry or like, fuck him, I hate him, like was going to try and like, or have this white line fever thing. If I try to go out and do that, I'd be running around like not knowing what to do because I feel when I'm at my best as a person is when I'm relaxed and trying to enjoy myself. So I was like, I don't know why that wouldn't translate to footy.
Yeah.
So when I go out there, people probably look like I didn't care, or I am very relaxed and laid back, but some people might have mistaken that for he doesn't give a fuck. But as soon as the ball was bounced, like, I wanted to be the best player on the ground every time I was out there, and I wanted to win just as much as everyone else. It's just I went about it in a different way. I like to have a laugh with the opposition or have a laugh with my teammates while I'm out there because I found the more relaxed I was, the easier the easier it come to me.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because we had Juddy on and he spoke about how he would almost create all this pain inside of him before he went out there. He would picture himself missing the match-winning goal and stuff. And it blew my mind away because it certainly wasn't the way that I would go into a game. I was trying to build myself up rather than
the less stress I had, I think, the better I was. So, and I didn't think about any of that. And to be honest, if I was allowed, I would have got to the game 5 minutes before. Like, if I was allowed, I'd sit in a meeting. I'd get there late. I'd get changed just as everyone was. Like when I was told to get out to the warm-up when I didn't have to. And as soon as they started hitting each other, I'd go back inside and I'd sit in the change room because I try to avoid being tackled. Why would I want to be tackled by my own teammate 5 minutes before I'm about to go out? And if it's sore enough, I'd get a cork or something like that. That's why I don't want to be touched. So I wouldn't think about the game. And as soon as I stand in the middle and someone umpire put the ball up in the air, that's when I'd be like, righto, let's get to work. Maybe my brain couldn't handle 4 hours
too much overload.
Exactly. It was only just the 2 hours of game day that I could handle it.
Everyone's different. I'm going to run through some of your achievements. So Premiership 2010, Brownlow 2011. You're a 5-time All-Australian. You're AFL Hall of Famer. As I said, the disposals leader 4 times in the league. Collingwood BNF 3 times. Yeah. You were the best finals player in 3 times. So I think when I was doing a bit of prep, I was like, I always had appreciation for how bloody good you were, but you weren't just a big game player and it was for a long time and it was every game, to average, I think 27 or 28 disposals across your whole career, especially when you started a bit slower than where you finished.
And I had 0 in my last game, which I think I would have had the most if I hadn't have 0 in my last game.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And that was due to injury?
Yeah.
Throughout your career, has there been any regrets? Like you spoke about your old man's regrets.
Yeah. I don't know how I can sit here and say I've got regrets where I started from. I wasn't the greatest kid, wasn't the best junior, didn't play for Victoria as a junior, made the combined sides in the Essendon League, didn't play for the Cannons until as a 17-year-old. So it wasn't like I was a Chris Judd who was just Luke Ball, who's going to be a star from the start, you know what I mean? So where I come from, I don't know how I can sit here with any regrets. Like, if you ask anyone, I love when I meet a lot of Collingwood people and they go, mate, we loved you from the start. Like, we seen you, we knew you were going to be something. Like, fuck off. Like, you're full of shit. There's no way anyone would have thought, even not my grandparents would have thought that I would have done what I did when they first see me trot out for Williamstown's reserves back in 2002. So, the off-field stuff I would obviously like never to have been in trouble with the law and stuff like that. But like I said earlier, that 100% shaped. If I hadn't got in trouble, I would have just fluffed about for another couple of years, maybe played a handful of games, then been given the arse, then played local footy for the rest of my life. So, no, I don't have any regrets. Yeah, like I said, some of the off-field stuff you'd like to take back and not like to be in trouble, but it's probably all added up to the person I am today, and it probably helps me with some of the off-field stuff that I can do today and stuff like that. So, no, I don't have any regrets. I'd like to win 2011. Is it regretting not winning the flag in 2011? I don't know if that's a regret, but I'd obviously like to win the flag in 2011. But but basically, no, I don't have any regrets. I sit here reasonably comfortable with who I am, with all the good and bad that has gone through me throughout my career. So, no, I don't have any regrets.
Do you think AFL players or professional athletes wider are unfairly judged on their behaviour sometimes?
Yes. Yes and no.
Do you think there's... Yes, I remember... I think it was Cuzzy said, I didn't choose to be a role model.
Yeah.
And I don't get to make that decision, but it kind of comes with
absolutely.
The position we have in society.
Yeah.
Is it unfair for people to think that we're not human beings and don't step up as well?
Yes and no. I think Juddy actually said one day you get paid 10% to play and 90% for the rest of the shit that goes on around it, which is fair enough, especially to a big club like the Pies. You understand that and the more, I guess, social media's become a thing, like back in the 80s and 90s,
you can hide.
You weren't a full-time footballer. It was okay, but the more professional, the more money you've got, the more sponsors are involved, and it's much more of a business now than a sport. As much as I'd like to say, I don't believe that we get judged unfairly. Unfortunately, I think it's just the business we're in, the business we are in. Yeah, I think supporters can actually, he fucked up. Let's not. I think the penalties can be a bit too severe. I think you can be judged and be written articles about, but sometimes I think the penalties are a bit too severe for the boys being human and having a blue. And I think, supporters and footy fans can really come down hard on you for being human, because if you walked into any office in any field of work, people will be doing worse shit than footballers.
Yeah.
So, it's a tricky one, because I'm obviously pro footballer and I'll support most footballers as much as I can, but unfortunately the way of the world is, you get judged on everything you do now. You're a footballer 24/7. You're not just a footballer when you're at training and when you're playing games.
Yeah. You touched on motivation earlier on. How did you stay motivated throughout your whole career, particularly when you set such lofty standards?
Obviously, getting nice contracts was good. But
so were you motivated by the commercial?
Not really. Yes and no. I didn't want to play. I would have been playing footy for free if I wasn't good enough to be getting paid for it. I think most footballers would do that. There's obviously some rare exceptions. Your ex-teammate's probably one of them. But I was most motivated by every game. Obviously, wanting to be the best player on the ground and wanting to touch the ball. It's football. I wanted to do what I was doing when I was a kid, was go and kick it and touch as many times as I could. But the one thing that I tried to do was, and your family will always be proud of you, I wanted to walk off the ground with my parents not having to sneak out of the MCG for fear of saying to your son was shit today. Now, and your parents ring out going, you're shit yesterday. Now, I'm sure 99% of parents are proud of their son for any way they play. But so I ran out there thinking, I'm not going to let my family down, and I'm going to make sure that they can walk out proud of the way I played today. So that was basically my internal motivation. And then the other one was I just wanted to play well because I love playing well. Yeah. And I was embarrassed if I didn't play well. I remember I cried after one game when early in my career, Adam Muzak kicked 5. I mean, that was a solid 5. Well, it was a tough 5. And I sat in the room and just cried, because I was like, I can't believe, I was just so embarrassed in my own stuff. You just want to jump in a hole and hide. And so things like that. So I was always had enormous pride in my performance, even though I probably didn't kick the ball. I didn't kick the ball great, and I wasn't as skillful as some others. But I had enormous pride in the ability that I wanted to perform for my side, and my strength was to get it, so I tried to get it as much as I could.
Yeah. The Rat Pack obviously became this figure within the Collingwood team, and you touched on a couple of the boys. Talk to me about friendships or relationships and what you view as the most important part of maintaining good ones or strong ones.
Yeah, so the Rat Pack, and it's like no other club's got it. Like everyone is familiar with it. Mate, obviously the Herald Sun coined it when Sharad Wellingham, who's probably not a rat, he's probably a mouse. He's on the periphery. He got done drink driving in Portugal. I think he was driving Buddy's car. I think Buddy must have pulled rank, said, "Mate, you're driving the car," and I only drove it up the road, but got pinged obviously. And we had a $1 million TAC drink drive sponsorship or point, whatever it was, and we lost that. And then obviously when the news broke on the Monday or Tuesday or whatever, the Herald Sun had like Collingwood's Rat Pack and actually had photos of rats with our heads superimposed on the rats with like
I remember actually seeing
with all the shit we'd done. So, and it stuck. Like I don't know why it stuck. If I had to guess, it would be because I think the members of the Rat Pack were very blue collar. We're normal kids, and I think we could relate to most of blue collar people. We're not better than anyone else. We didn't see ourselves better than anyone else. We were just normal kids, 25-year-olds, doing everything that normal 25-year-olds were doing. We just happened to be playing on the MCG on a Saturday. We'd have a beer with everyone. We'd be out. We'd talk to everyone. We're just normal bums from the suburbs who just happened to be playing on the MCG. So, and the other thing was, I think we weren't just clogging up the list. Some would say that, and we had a fair share of moments we probably give the footy club a lot of headaches. But you know, if the game was close, Heath had the smother in the grand final. For instance, Jono had it. He'd do something off halfback, or the big tackle he laid on Burgoyne in the prelim in 03 or something like that. Tazza would take a big hanger, Dids would kick a big goal. I'd do what I did. So when the game was close, usually it was one of us who would actually do something about it. So I think the fans just embraced all our flaws, and we've all got a few of them, but it just stuck. And I go to a lot of footy clubs, as you do, and there's always a group will come up and say, we're this version's footy club's Rat Pack. So we've left a legacy. I'm not sure it's a positive one, but we've left one, so it's nice to have left one. And that sort of friendship is, people ask me what's the best thing that I've got out of footy. It's not the premiership, it's not the Brownlows, it's the mates. Yeah. It's those sort of 4 or 5 mates, because I don't wake up every morning and think, shit, I've won a premiership. Geez, I've won a Brownlow. Like, how good am I? Like, I was All-Australian 5 times. I'm in the Hall of Fame. The only time I think about that is when I get asked. But what I do, you speak to, and I'm sure you're exactly the same. You have a core group that you speak to. You're not going to speak to 50 of them all the time. You have your premiership reunions, which you obviously got quite a lot, but you have them, you have that group chat, but it's those 4 or 5 guys that I have a bond with for life. And life goes on. We all have kids, and we don't see each other 5 days a week now. But when we get together, whether it's monthly or quarterly, we all get together and have a few beers. It's like it's like time stood still, and we're all we're much better players than what we were back then. But that lunch goes for a day or two, and we have a bit of fun. So that's clearly the most important and the most thing I value coming out of my football career, is that the relationship with the Rat Pack.
Amazing. Speaking of relationships, and I'm sure it's another one that you value, your partner Taylor, been together for 14, 15 years.
Yes. 17 years, yeah.
17 years?
Yeah. So we met in 07 after the prelim, once we got beat by Geelong in 5 points. So a lot of sliding doors moments, which I won't bore you with. But yeah, if we win that game, I probably don't meet her. So yeah, still filthy about that.
And met her overseas or in?
Met her here. Yeah, she's from the US, from New York originally. Her family in Florida now. She was out here holidaying, first day here, then I'll tell you the story. And then she was on the plane, said, what should I do? Asked someone, said she needed to go to the footy. So she was at my game in the prelim in 07, and then randomly enough, once again, sat in front of people that I knew who owned Tramp. So, and then they got talking with their girlfriends and stuff like that, and they'll come out with us. So she went out with the guys and the girls that I knew. We obviously got beat. We went to a bar. My mate was at the bar she was at, and he wanted to come and meet us. So I was like, stop being a pussy. You're coming with us. So I got in a cab just to go and pick him up, walked in, seen her, and she never left.
Yeah, right.
Basically, 17 years later, I've tried to be honest, but now we've got 3 kids.
So and then Tate, little boy, and then twins.
Tate, little boy, and then Sage and Scout, the twins. Yeah, and another weird one. So we got beat on the Friday night. Now, obviously, you know what happens when footballers finish their last game. Yep. So went out Friday night, a reasonable crack as you do, and then Saturday we were messaging. Said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm at the pub." Okay. So then Sunday gets a Sunday message. "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm at the pub." Gets to Monday. Obviously, Mad Monday. "All right, weekend's over. What are you doing?" "I've got to be at the pub by 10 a.m. And I was like, "Are you like okay? Like, do you have a problem?" And I was like, "Well, I've got many problems at the minute, but this is just you've got me in a weird moment. Yeah. Like, give me another 10 days to get myself together, and then we'll be right." So
just the 10.
Well, it's about Monday week, and then so I had the Brownlow, which I didn't get invited to, and I was leading halfway. That was that night. Then obviously you have your Mad Monday, and you know when you're single, you don't have anything to do. You turns into a Tuesday, then you want to have Wednesday off, then you go the next weekend, then your body says you've had enough days. So, so it was a strange one. Maybe that's how we met. We met the old-fashioned way, like in a bar instead of on your phone.
Very good. How has being a dad changed you, or has it not?
Yeah, it has to. Unfortunately, it's certainly changed my weekends. I think you probably. Like I said earlier, the guidance counsellor said I should be more teacher. Probably don't have any emotion. Like I'm, nothing really affected me. But you probably become a little more emotional when you have kids, and even just simple shit as like watching. I don't know, a current affair comes on, or one of those 60 minutes, and something happens. You're watching some horrible thing that happens to kids, and all of a sudden you feel it. So you start, you end up watching a show and you start crying because something's happening to all these kids are sick, and you think, fuck, imagine if it happened to yours. So you become probably a little bit more emotional. Just now you have kids and everything, you relate back to them. Shit, imagine if that happened to them, or, so probably that you soften it probably a little bit as well with the kids. And so they're probably the two main ones. And obviously the other one, which is obvious, is time. Like you can't do what I did my son's 4 on Thursday, so he couldn't do what he did 5 years ago. Yeah, because everything you do revolves around them. So, it's obviously they say it's the greatest thing that'll ever happen in your life. I'm still waiting for that to hit with me, but they're awesome. They're good fun. I'm in the trenches at the moment with the twins who just turned 2 and my son's 4. On Thursday, so in February, whenever this comes out. But they're probably the main ones, and just the enjoyment you get out of doing shit I never thought I'd get enjoyment out of. Yeah. Like, and I always want to, and I don't like to bore other people with my kids' stories, because I was like, every parent thinks their kid's the most wonderful kid and thinks they're the cutest. So I don't bore other people with that. But the things you get enjoyment out of now, with seeing, the greatest noise you could probably ever hear is hearing your kids laugh and stuff like, what I mean? So the enjoyment, and I still enjoy
going out,
having a crack, but like the next day is just terrific. Like,
well, that's why I don't.
That's what I mean. So like, unless I'm away or they're with mum and dad, and you can have Sunday or you can have the next day at least till like midday to get yourself together. Like, it's just not worth it. So now, like, obviously I guess I'd have a reasonable reputation for being out late and like, carrying on for days, and that was true. But now, like, I'm much more of a day drinker until the kids maybe get a bit older and they can get themselves up for breakfast and they can sort of watch TV till 10 or 11. But now, like, so Sunday, Super Bowl, UFC, like on a Sunday, watch the fights and, start at midday and home by 10 is sort of in a perfect world. But Trent, you may not know, but it's very, very hard to go home at 10. I'm doing my best, but so it's just the next day now with when you have a beer. The kids are brutal. They don't understand that you're hungover, and you try not to. They'll be owed. I don't want to wish their years away because, I wish you were 8 so you could do that. But,
it does go quick. Yeah, exactly. From kids that are a little bit older.
So I'm trying not to wish their years away, but, the days go by quick. The days go by long, but the years go by like that. Yeah.
The partying and drinking and so forth has always been part of just what you love, right?
Yeah.
Has it ever been something that was used as an escape from the pressures of footy, or did you not necessarily feel the pressure that maybe some athletes feel?
Oh, maybe if you speak to a psychologist, maybe that was why. But I just don't think I changed from when I was 17 and 18. Like, being a professional athlete didn't change me. Changed me a little bit financially and things like that, and you learn how to speak and so change a little bit. But me, basically, as a person, it did not change. I was basically exactly the same as I was when I was 18 to when I was 32. Well, now, obviously, you grow up and you become a bit more mature, but I still like doing the things that I was doing when I was 18 to when I was 32. And clearly footy stops that a bit if you're on 6-day breaks or, you're injured. They stop me a little bit. But it was just some people play golf. Yep. I like to be with my friends.
Yep.
That was what I enjoyed. And I try to enjoy everything about being a football, especially, probably the biggest sporting club in Australia, the Pies. And I wanted to have a good game. Fuck it, I want to go and share it with everyone. I want to go and have a beer. And some people, and I genuinely believe if me and Scott played Pendles, who unbelievable, obviously we all know what Scott is. I don't have to tell you how good he is. But we all know, probably a bit similar to yourself, what you guys did to get the best out of yourselves and how sort of meticulous you were in your preparation. If I tried to do what Scott did for 6 months, I probably went, I've had enough. Fuck this. I cannot do it. Yeah. Like, it's driving me mad. And I just can't get up at 6 in the morning. I can't go to the ocean every day. I can't do Pilates. Like, fuck this. I need to go and just relax. So that was my version of relaxing. Now, well, I'm sure if I dragged Scott along for a month and said, righto, mate, you come with me. Exactly, yeah. So it takes all kinds, and that was just me. I found that relaxing. It's what I enjoyed most. Like, I still don't play golf a lot on my days off. Probably if we had days off on a Thursday, people would be out playing golf. I probably need to sleep all day to catch up for what I did on the weekend. So I'm not sure. There might be some psychology behind it, but for me, it was just what I enjoyed, and I tried to do what I enjoy. Yep. I enjoyed playing footy on weekends, and I enjoyed going out and having a beer with my mates on weekends too. So I tried to cram them all in together. So that's what I tried to do.
Makes sense. Talk about the transition, because I know the conversations I've had with everyone's kind of been on their own different journey, but found it challenging at different stages, kind of have those what the fuck moments am I doing with my life. Have you had any of those as you progressed, or you kind of, because you are laid back and just go with the flow?
Yeah, maybe once the twins come along, maybe you think, because before kids, I'll do what I want. Especially when I retire, let's go to Europe, let's do the European summer. And because I hurt my foot in the first game, and I basically knew I was going to retire very early once I knew what I'd done to myself. I had 24 weeks sort of
leave.
Yeah, I knew that I was going to retire, so I wasn't and when you make the decision, I think it's a bit easier. It's not like I walked into a meeting and Bucks offered me another year. Yep. But I decided to go. So it wasn't like I was 25 thinking I'm going to walk into a meeting, I'm going to get another 2 years, and they go, mate, you're out. Then all of a sudden you're like, fuck, what am I going to do with my life?
Yep.
I think if you play 15 years in the AFL, you should have a fair idea of what's coming next. So, I was pretty happy to retire. There was other things I wanted to do. We wanted to travel, so I did. We traveled for basically 2 years. I went in the jungle. I did that Celebrity Get Me Out of Here. I did the
enjoy that?
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, it was fun. It was so different.
I think the thing with you, as you've said, whether it be with regards to the Rat Pack, I think people connect with you because of you just unashamedly being yourself.
Yeah, well,
I remember there was a grand final function. I'm talking probably 10 years ago. Everyone was kind of dressed up, suit or at least a jacket and shirt. And you walked in, you had ripped jeans and a tee. I think it was all black. And I think it was David King hosting it maybe. And he said, oh, thanks for dressing up for the occasion. You're like, mate, you asked for Dane Swan and you get Dane Swan.
Well, that's basically, I don't own a suit. I feel very uncomfortable in shirts, and I time I'm doing it when I'm going to the races and I'm going to court. That's basically it. If you ask for me, you're going to get me now. Some people might not appreciate, some people not like the way I speak or the way I go about it, but I can't be anyone else. Yeah. It's just who I am. People, if you don't like it, well, don't ask me to come speak at your footy club. Don't ask me to come speak at a function, or don't employ me. I have no issues with it, but this is how I am, and this is what you get.
Yeah. What skills have helped you from your football journey to then into the transition of what you're doing now? I know that you do a whole host of different stuff, but
I think, well, my networking and regardless of what people think, I think I'm pretty good with people. I'm pretty polite and like pretty respectful, and I think I'm good around people. And talking about the partying and stuff like that, so I've got 4 venues now. So if I don't go out, and all my network is from being out and about, so I don't have that relationship with Simon, with the people I have now, with the Osborne and the Union and the couple up in Queensland that are about to open. So I don't have that relationship with them. So I think the skill, I don't have many skills. Like I couldn't sit in an office and, you know, I couldn't do your finance, or I couldn't do your tax, Trent. But what I think I can do, I think I can relate to people, and I think I'm pretty good at, you know, being around people. So whether that's a skill or not, and I've got no idea, but that's probably the one thing that I think I'm good at and I enjoy.
Yeah.
Like I'm still out playing footy. I still like going to footy clubs. I like being out and about and having a beer with people and listening. And, you know, I guess you, Richmond, are probably similar to Collingwood. They're everywhere, the supporters, especially after what you guys did, you know, in the last 5 or 6 years, you know, in your career. They're everywhere. So Collingwood people are everywhere. You get to travel the country and, you know, tell stories and have a laugh. So I think, the one skill that I think I think I'm easy. I can talk to most people and I can sort of entertain most people.
I commend you on all the work that you do. I know you support many charities and obviously the growth in the business. Do you have a specific role within the venue business, or is it more just part of the team? And
part of it. I don't have like a specific role, but probably the longer I've been out of the game, the more. Initially, it was just an investment, and I just fucking see what happens. But now, I actually trying to learn a little bit more about business side, which is hard for me. Like my cousin, I'm in construction. My cousin has KPI, so every Thursday I'm out with him. I think I have a job title. I think it's client relations. So I'm out on the road with Aaron, and I knew nothing. Once I retired from footy, I knew nothing about anything else. So be on the road with my cousin Aaron for, you know, probably the last 18 months every Thursday, just learning about the construction industry and trying to help him with KPI, you know, get jobs. That's been fun to learn. So learning a bit more about construction, learning about the hospitality game and what it takes and what actually goes into building a strong venue. And we're building one now in Brisbane. So just trying to lean on Simon and just trying to soak up as much sort of learning as I can, because one day I might, you know, if he has enough, might fall to me. So then I got to start to learn about things. But so that's basically it.
Yeah, love it. I won't hold you for much longer, but one question we do love to ask our guests is, if you could go back to your 16-year-old self, picture yourself. Yeah,
oh geez, it'd be nice. I hate seeing photos of myself, especially without tattoos. It looks so fucking weird.
What's one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
One piece of advice. I'll just do what the one thing that I always try to do, which I would, or tell him, but which I did. I listen to people's, you know, thoughts and advice, but the one thing I always did, which probably, you know, caused me to get in trouble sometimes, is always wanted to listen to myself. Yeah. Because I didn't want to get to the end of my career and think, fuck, I can't believe I listened to him tell me to do this, or I can't believe I took his advice when I had a gut feeling of the other thing. Always, like, when I listened and I took advice from people like when Chris and Ben were telling me to train and stuff like that. But for 90% of it, the most part, I went with my gut. So that's what I'd probably tell them. So just keep listening to yourself, because if I fucked it all up, at least I could sit there on my deathbed and go, you know what? I've got no one else to blame but myself. I didn't want to have to sit there and go, cannot believe he fucked that up for me, or he did that. So that's probably what I tell them. And some people would argue, but I think I turned out all right. We had our moments there along the way. We've, you know, played a game of snakes and ladders for a second there, but you know, who wants to live a boring old life and just go through life without any ups and downs? So all the good and bad that I've gone through is sat me here today, and I've got a wonderful family, 3 lovely kids, and they're probably all that matters now. As long as I can support them and hopefully give them an easy life, then that's all that matters.
Well, Swanee, thank you so much for sharing more of your story with us on Shaped. Starting there, trusting your gut and your own instincts. I think there's so many people out there now that are kind of searching for the the opinion they think is right for them, whereas often you actually know what's right for you.
And especially on social media, like you get the kids these days look at all the photos of all, people on Instagram want to be them and
looks perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And the reality is that's not the truth. Everyone puts on, that's why I don't use it a lot anymore. That's what people put on social media, what they want you to see, not how reality actually is. So, I've always, I get sucked into all that bullshit too, but like everyone else, I try not to as much as I don't do it as much as I did. But yeah, just listen. I was trying to listen to yourself because whether you're doing the right thing or wrong thing. And sometimes I knew I was doing the wrong thing. I was like, I'm fucking still going to do it anyway. But, as long as you can put your head down at the pillow at night and go, you know what, good or bad, it's on me, which I,
and it's those moments where you've made a decision that have effectively helped you kind of create the path of who you are or what's right, what's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
What's on the fence.
Yeah, and I have comfort in sitting there going, all my fuck-ups have been because of me. So I'm not angry at anyone else. I'm not filthy at anyone else. So it's just like, this has been all the good stuff, mostly because of what I did. So I found out what worked for me football-wise and what I needed during the week, and that was a lot of trial and error, and then it all sort of clicked for a 4 or 5 year period, and, hopefully it set me up for the rest of my life.
Very good. Well, I wish you all the best with the new venues up north,
mate.
And the current ones, and the construction business.
Thanks, mate.
I look forward to seeing you leading the charge.
Yeah, I'll have a hard out on and a hammer and doing something. I'm not sure anyone wants me to build their house, but we're learning and going along.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. So thanks again.
Mate. No
and
stress,
look forward to
mate.
catching up soon.
Sweet, mate.